Hello everyone. If you find yourself here, that means you have been clickbaited. The question mark in the title shows you that I don't have any legal obligation to show you that the Tiger is the worst tank in the game, if it even is that thing, which it isn't. The Tiger I was a German heavy tank of World War II. It operated beginning of 1942 in Africa and in the Soviet Union, usually in independent heavy tank battalions. It gave the German army its first armored fighting vehicle that mounted a 8.8 cannon. More to that later. 1,347 were built between August 1942 and August 1944. After August 1944, though, production of the Tiger I was phased out in favor of the Tiger II. The full name of the Tiger is Panzerkampfwagen 6 Tiger Ausführung H1. Some foreign YouTubers though would call this a Tiger Mark 6 tank. Calling a Tiger a Mark 6 is an immediate reason for a dishonorable field execution. Unless you are British, of course, and in this case, reasoning for dishonorable field execution is redundant. This is a properly angled Tiger, 45 degrees towards the enemy gun barrel. Or easier said, exactly this corner towards the enemy gun barrel. As you can see, we are almost completely unpennable. The example is nice one with the upgraded round at 500 meters, which is the average engagement distance, I would say, for this BR. And with an average enemy you should regularly meet with this tank. Armor penetration is 175, and as you can see, it's not possible for him to pen us. Unless there's a cheeky shot, which can be hit, but it is highly unlikely that this will actually cause a penetration. Although I have seen it happen, but it's a very specific spot you have to hit. But it's also unlikely to face towards the enemy, you will not be penned. However, you will be penned, and if a good player knows that, down there between the tracks. This is an easy kill shot any tanker can do, and most guns are capable of penning this part with only a 100 meter of effective armor. It's quite easy to see between the tracks. Let's adjust a bit more from the view of the enemy. Still easy to hit. If you're lucky, the track could catch it, but if he gets a pen, you are definitely dead. It's a devastating hit like that. As you can see, armor plate is completely unpennable, but as soon as you miss the properly angle, you get penned from the front. You go a bit too hard on the brakes, you get penned from the side. This is a very specific angle you have to stand at to even stand a chance to pen these. Let's take another example. Let's take a Britain. What do we take? Oh, Avenger. Why not? Avenger. Challenger. So let's take the best round, APDS. Who doesn't like APDS? See, you can already see the armor penetration. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Anywhere, everywhere, anytime. Of course, the after effect isn't as devastating as the Russian 85, but you can still see if he knows where to hit, he can seriously cripple your tank and completely take you out of the game. And if he knows where your ammo is, it's even worse because he will detonate your ammo quite easily with these high-powered shots. Let's go back to Russia. It has your 85M, same round, upgraded one, doesn't matter. See, you have to get this angle perfectly to have an effective armor range. But there's this cheeky shot I like, which could come in handy maybe one day. A slightly angled shot into the machine gunner port, which won't cripple the tank, but at least make him stop moving. As I've just shown with how to properly angle Tiger, its armor it is most well known for, maybe unless you count this 88 cannon, is not that good compared to things it can face on its own. Yeah. If we compare the Tiger in its three stages, this meaning down tier, same tier, and the usual up tier, we have three distinct different vehicles in this class. In a down tier, the armor is very good to excellent. Anything in front of you will not pen you. As soon as you angle, they're even less likely to pen you, even if we count those things in that could potentially kill you. Like Chino 2s, high powered rams, anything that has a long gun at a low VR. This does not include HE launchers, which just negate the arm effect, but anything high velocity has a hard time dealing with a Tiger, which is lower than 5.3. At 5.3, as I've shown with a few rounds, the Tiger has already strong troubles to find evenly matched guns to even bounce on his armor in the first place. If you don't perfectly fit onto the sides, you have hard problems even facing similar tanks. Arguably, yes, the Challenger and the Russians have good armor panning guns, especially at angles, but still, as soon as you don't get that angle perfectly, you will get penned, you will get punished for it, you will most likely get one-shotted, and there's little to nothing you can do about it unless you have the reaction, they fuck up the shot and get panic, which is a thing that can still happen at this BR. Panic is one of the best things that I can have. People usually panic, shoot a gun to it face, which at that BR is still pretty much unpennable by most things, unless we count APDS, but that's something else entirely. Here you can still get these classic panic shots, they don't pay attention, they don't know what they are doing, and simply fuck up the shot in the first place, since you don't have to fear about it. But at 5.3 you already face good players, they know where to shoot, they know your weaknesses, they know when to shoot, maybe they even are good enough to shoot your gun barrel, which defeats the point entirely of even angling at these short distances. But again, if you are able to make distances of about 1000 meters, you still have very good armor, which few things can even pen, unless we count again APDS and the always famous M51, which doesn't care about how far away you are and will still fuck your day up. But these are worst case scenarios, and still with your gun you can face these enemies better, but more to that later. Now we have also the always famous up tier to 6.3. At this point, I would always recommend leaving the game. Your armor is not existent. You are just a slow glass cannon, and the glass shows already big cracks in it. You have nothing on your enemies, you have no speed, you have no armor, you have no fantastic gun that can pen everything. You will be facing IS-2s, T-29s, British Congress Centurions. I mean, you have very little in face of these. And this does include similar tanks to your playstyle, meaning like lumbering around the battle map. This does not include fast-moving enemies like M18s, M51s, similar stuff that will just ruin your day. Anything fast will screw you completely, and at that yeah, there's almost exclusively fast stuff, and you have little to no choice but to actually choose another vehicle or leave the game entirely, because I can't recommend playing with a Tiger H1 in an up tier. It is completely useless at that BR with no chance of getting any good in that whatsoever. One short more mention to the internal layout of the Tiger, which is quite good for what it is supposed to do. It is quite a grand room. You are less likely, you have a quite high chance of survival if we are talking about a smaller HE filler round or a pure armor piercing round. They usually go right through you, they kill a bit of crew, they will disable modules, but they are very unlikely to kill your whole tank if there's no ammo detonation. Although, with enough size, this does already include the 85mm. They can easily one-shot you, if not all 5 crew members, easily enough for at least if they get a side shot, or not even talking about ammo shots, which usually happens to Tigers because most experienced tankers know where to shoot a Tiger to get a one-shot, to get an instant and guaranteed kill. Next up we have the gun. The Tiger 1 uses a 88mm Kampfwagenkanone 38. This is a simple conversion of the before used Flak 88mm simply converted to be used inside an armored vehicle. In-game, we have two shells with the 88. That is one, the Panzergranate 39. This one offers you a high pen and improved angled pen, and Panzergranate Dot, which has just double the filler for even more explosive one-shots. These have the same fuse and do not matter in terms of when they trigger on thin armor, which is a sad fact, since the Tiger would benefit, in my opinion, of a short fuse round, which it sadly never doesn't have. Which rounds of these two you wish to use is completely up to you. That is alone personal preference. But for new players, I would recommend the Panzergranate 39. This is your default round, you don't need to unlock it. Since it's easier to pen, it isn't as punishing if you miss. It isn't as punishing if you miss your weak spots. It is better to pen cheek turrets on the Russians and hit smaller shots. If you feel comfortable with the Tiger, I would recommend the Panzergranate Dot for the high explosive filler increase to guarantee your one-shots, because it is your OPR and high area. You usually need to get one-shots to ensure that you survive, because counter shots are frequent, and vehicles more likely to survive because of the size increase also happen. And to get this one-shot is usually quite important if you want to survive, if you need to get targets on a new target, if you have long shot shooting. But usually the Panzergranate 39 is a superior round and should be used by default. Of course, the Tiger also has a HE round, which I personally don't use since I never reload to engage AAs or anything. But yes, you can also use these rounds, or a frequent round of all three rounds, but I recommend not going above 25 rounds, since this would cause another ammo rack to be opened up on your other side, which you usually want to prevent. You only have an ammo stock on one side. If you want a default ammo layout out, I would say 15 Panzergranate 39, 5 Panzergranate Dot, and 5 Panzergranate HE. This is the default ammo loadout, which should help you in all situations, which the main focus on Panzergranate 39, which I would recommend. But remember, when using the gun, it does suffer from overpenning quite a lot, especially when engaging M18s, Bulldogs, or similar fast, low armored vehicle from the sides, and it is generally recommended to engage these on the turret to maybe get one-shots. That's what Panzergranate Dot is for, with the increased by explosive filler, and you shoot M18 in the turret, you have a good chance of killing another crewmate inside the hole, while the Panzergranate 39 either doesn't trigger on it at all, or more likely doesn't have the explosive filler to reach inside the hole and kill the last remaining crewman for one shot. In War Thunder, the Tiger 1 shows what happens when myth meets reality. Well, yes, from World War II, the Tiger 1 has an increased calling of being one of the best tanks ever, putting fear into the Allied tank columns. But when shoved against similar tanks of its own design or similar technology, it is nothing special. It is actually quite low at a low average, in my opinion, currently, and is not something I would recommend to any new player. Its playstyle is in general like low-tier German medium tanks, and I would describe the Tiger 1 as best as an upscaled Panzer IV F2, with its playstyle of either sniping or careful flanking from long ranges and avoiding combat at best if possible, and maybe even thinking twice about engaging in a direct duel against similar tanks. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is the first thing I ever did with a proper review. A lot of cutting went into this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching to the end. Hope you learned something. And if you want another vehicle reviewed in this length, please let me know what vehicle you wish to see next, and maybe a little reasoning why you find it special, or it needs explanation to a wider community, or explanation for yourself because you don't quite get the hang of this vehicle. Anyway, Hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe because I did went a lot of work into this video. And I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.